Hello and welcome to Wednesday Debate Live with Tagreed Hussein here on Nile TV International. Well, tonight we are going to discuss more about Egypt redefining its role as the EU's key partner in regional crisis management tonight, and as we all know, as the world suffers under the weight of overlapping crises and shifting alliances, there is this one partnership that is decisively reshaping the strategic balance across the whole Mediterranean, Egypt and the European Union. At a moment when Europe is navigating energy shocks, regional instability, and also geopolitical uncertainty, we find that Egypt stands firm, not only as a stabilizing force, but as a strategic partner and as a partner with vision, which is most importantly, and also with credibility. So from Gaza to the Eastern Mediterranean, from maritime security to energy corridors, Cairo isn't reacting to the events, but definitely Cairo is helping reshape those events. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's recent engagement with the European leaders have underscored a clear message, which is sustainable stability that requires coordination, requires respect for sovereignty, and also political solutions that are sustainable, the political solutions that endure. So beyond diplomacy, Egypt is redefining its role as a bridge between continents, linking Europe to Africa and the Middle East through trade, industry, as well as innovation. Tonight, I have all the pleasure of having one of Egypt's most distinctive and refined diplomats, one of our diplomatic minds, whom we really respect, Honorable Ambassador Raouf Saad, former assistant to the foreign. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for coming.
It's me who thank you very much for hosting me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. And together we'll be reading this important headline and reading also milestones and important steps in the history of relations between Egypt and the EU. First, let's have a look at the top stories of the day. His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received on Wednesday Manfredi Lefebvre, the chairman of the World Travel and Tourism Council, alongside a high-level delegation of global tourism leaders, reaffirming Egypt's growing prominence as a leading international destination. The discussions highlighted Egypt's commitment to strengthening cooperation with the global private tourism sector to drive sustainable growth and investment. The World Travel and Tourism Council announced plans to host its prestigious Global Leaders Tourism Summit in Egypt, hence bringing together 270 top executives on a high-profile cruise through the Suez Canal and key Egyptian destinations, sending a powerful message of confidence in Egypt's stability and diverse tourism offerings. The President reiterated Egypt's ambition to attract 30 million tourists annually, supported by continued infrastructure development and sector modernization. President al-Sisi reaffirmed Egypt's strategic leadership during a phone call with Sultan Haytham bin Tariq of Oman. Addressing regional developments, the President had expressed solidarity with Oman, underscoring that Gulf and Arab stability is inseparable from Egyptian national security. President al-Sisi had emphasized de-escalation and praised Oman's constructive diplomacy, highlighting Cairo's parallel efforts to contain tensions through dialogue. Both leaders stressed preserving Middle East stability and resolving the crises peacefully. And in a day of intensive diplomacy, Egypt reaffirmed its pivotal role in stabilizing the region as a stabilizing force in a turbulent region through a series of high-level engagements led by Foreign Minister Dr. Badr Abdelati on Wednesday. In calls with the United Arab Emirates and Qatar, Abdelati underscored Egypt's full solidarity with Gulf security and pushed firmly for de-escalation, welcoming renewed U.S.-Iran negotiations and the pause in Strait of Hormuz operations. Parallel discussions with Germany's national security advisor and Canada's senior leadership had further reinforced Egypt's central role in advancing political solutions, safeguarding maritime stability, and expanding strategic partnerships. We'll see more concerning Egypt's EU relations, discussing further dimensions, strategic convergence at a time of regional turbulence. This report, and we will be back.
Time when Europe is navigating one of its most complex geopolitical landscapes in decades, Egypt is steadily consolidating its position as a pillar of regional stability and a partner of strategic necessity for European Union. From the Eastern Mediterranean to Gaza, Cairo is not a participant, but it is a central player of equilibrium. This reality was clearly reflected in the recent Arab-EU Consultative Summit in Nicosia, where President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi advanced a coherent vision grounded in coordinated crisis management, respect for sovereignty, and shared international responsibility. In high-level bilateral meetings on the sidelines, President el-Sisi aligned positions with key European leaders, including Emmanuel Macron and Friedrich Merz, on Gaza de-escalation, ceasefire pathways, and the necessity of political solutions. This reflects a broader European recalibration, increasingly converging with Egypt's long-standing diplomatic doctrine. European statements in recent days further underscore this alignment. Ursula von der Leyen reinforced the urgency of stabilizing the region through partnerships with key actors like Egypt. This convergence is institutional. The launch of the EU-Egypt Security and Defense Dialogue in Cairo last March reflects deepening operational coordination on Gaza, Sudan, the Red Sea, and broader regional flashpoints. Increasingly, European actors are aligning with Egypt's mediation track, particularly in ceasefire frameworks and conflict containment. Beyond diplomacy, Egypt is transforming geography into leverage. Positioned at the crossroads of Africa, the Middle East, and Europe, Cairo is emerging as a logistical, energy, and industrial hub integrated into European value chains. Strategic energy cooperation, particularly in Eastern Mediterranean gas infrastructure, further cements Egypt's role as a gateway for European energy diversification. Egypt-EU relations have evolved into a multidimensional strategic partnership, political alignment, security coordination, and economic integration. As Europe confronts mounting pressures from energy insecurity to regional conflicts, it is increasingly clear that Egypt is not just a partner, but an anchor shaping the region's future stability.
So important milestones in the history that binds Egypt and the European Union. Your Excellency, how do you see those steps? I think that every step has a significance and a timing as well.
Well, it's a long story,
Yeah.
and I think without repeating what has been said in the introduction, I think it could be useful that we can just stop by basic stations or milestones as you just mentioned. I think till 1995 the relationship between EU and Egypt was a regular cooperation relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But starting 1995, it was the first strategic transformation of relations in terms of the Barcelona Declaration.
Mm-hmm.
And Barcelona Declaration was linked directly with the peace process that started since Madrid process, in 1991. In the Barcelona Declaration, people thought that it's a kind of political statement or a political declaration. It's not. I think they introduced a new concept of partnership, and that was reflected in the concept of association agreements. And the concept was based on a vertical and horizontal partnership agreement. In other words, that to have a vertical association agreement between EU and the countries that have peace with Israel, on the assumption that peace will cover all other countries, and from there on you will have horizontal relationship, and at one point the two tracks will meet to establish the largest free trade area in the world.
Yeah.
So that was very, very significant transformation.
A turning point transformation.
And the second basic station, because I know your time is always very, very limited, it was that we signed the partnership agreement, the association agreement in 2004. It was not signed. In fact, it was me who initiated during my ambassadorial post in Brussels, negotiated the agreement together with the Egyptian delegation, and it was endorsed in 2004. From 2004, we started a new level of relationship that based on a kind of calculated free trade area between Egypt and the EU. And from there on, the trade started to flourish. The cooperation has become more sophisticated in terms of covering industry, agriculture, so on and so forth. Then we have a kind of semi-crisis after, 2011, the revolution 2011, and in 2014 they assumed wrongly, uncalculated approach that that they were not satisfied with the way the Egypt has been ruled by the people through the army. They didn't get that clearly, and at that time, fortunately, I was recruited back to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to supervise the association agreement with EU. And at that time, the relationship was really tense and very complicated. I told Sameh Shukri, is my friend, Minister of Foreign Affairs, former Minister of Foreign Affairs, I know these people well, let me just try to handle to recover. Then, bit by bit, they realized something very important, that they cannot deal with the Middle East without Egypt.
Yes.
And that the Europeans understand history, and I think they understood something that I used to say even to myself, that Egypt is like a revolving door to the Middle East. It's through Egypt that you enter, and through Egypt you exit, right? Yes. It's a revolving door, because this is, look at the map. I mean, I keep telling them, look at the map, and they say so, by the way. If you look at the map, you'll be surprised to see that Egypt is in the center of the world, not only in the center of the Middle East. So it was a historic, cultural interest, understanding, appreciation that they cannot continue dealing with Egypt with this kind of dry relationship, all right? Till they started to see how Egypt is being rebuilt.
Yes.
Then we came to the point, I want to jump very quickly to a very important point. I think, let me tell you, because they mentioned the summit.
Yes.
An EU ambassador told me that he has never seen in his own life the kind of reception that President Sisi has received during this summit.
Yeah.
And the kind of appreciation and respect. Because they understand, not only because it's not a matter of personal admiration. It is a matter of interest. They know that Egypt is the core of the Middle East. Then, the relationship has been elevated, upgraded to the strategic level, expanded, and this is not just a kind of declaration. It's not a political approach. It is, that means that you expand, you deepen the relationship. By the way, I have a kind of itab, I don't know how to put it in English, with our media. Because during the summit in Brussels, something very important happened, that we were admitted to what we call Horizon Europe. You see, I don't think that you heard, because it was not followed. Horizon Europe is the largest research pool in the world that combines all the research activities of the members of the EU. And we were admitted to the program. And that, if for any country, it would cost at least 80 million, 90 million euro. And it was just EU that took charge. So anyway, we have a treasure. I think people should know about it. The government should use this, invest in this treasure, because without research, without education, you have no future.
Definitely. Ambassador, while following President Sisi's active participation in the Nicosia summit, as you've wisely mentioned, things have changed, because His Excellency has explained to the Europeans how Egypt has become a diplomatic model, emphasizing sovereignty and also coordination that appears to be gaining traction. And since then, thereafter, things have totally changed in this file.
Very much so, and thank you for posing this question, because I think sometimes wars, crises, would reveal the advantages of the relationship between the parties. I think the Gaza war has proved without any doubt that Egypt is the core of the Middle East. Egypt is the core of balances in the Middle East. Egypt is the country that can, on its own, individually, govern the crisis in a way that may be not very much known to the public, right? What has happened behind closed doors is much more. History will reveal one of those days the kind of pressures that have been put on the political leadership of Egypt. But eventually, what happened? What happened that, you know, that the President Sisi was faced with two major challenges. Both would lead Egypt to a kind of gloomy future. One is to accept migration. Second is to get into a confrontation with Israel. And what happened? He was able, with patience, wisdom, self-restraint, that to bring the two challenges to become two advantages, to become the two sides of the coin.
Strong points in the
so
relations.
you move from a war location to Sharm el-Sheikh, where you started a peace location. So this is something they don't see it as with just admiration, but appreciation. They know that here we are, that from now on, the relationship between EU and Egypt is not only association agreement, it's not only strategic expansion of the relationship, but it is a matter of a central country. Let alone that for other problems, for example, that is very much related to what's happening now. I want just to maybe tell a story, a very short story of the economic zone. During the negotiations of during the 90s, it was the EU who proposed to establish a regional hub. A regional hub in the Suez area. Right, and that time our great minister, Mr. Musa, was the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and I told him, Mr. Minister, we don't know what hub means. People think hub is a port. It's not. So he told me, what do you want? I said, I want to see a port. I said, to see a hub, sorry. I went to Rotterdam. I saw Rotterdam. So I told them, come and see what we have. All right? They came, and I remember at that time, I called the governor of Port Said. I told them, well, these people are not they're not coming to see a PowerPoint or a presentation. I said, what do you want? I said, a helicopter. To see everything. And they told me something I will never forget. They said, this location, this geographic location, has never, will never be on the planet. There is nothing like it, right? And if properly prepared, established as a hub, it will add 20% to the Egyptian economy. See, we are in the process. We don't have yet, but see what's happening now. There are things that people should understand. For example, past week, two countries offered a deal each for $2 billion to establish logistics cities in the area, which means that they are looking at the future to see, they want to avoid the kind of crisis that we are facing now because of closing Hormuz Strait. And so instead of being subject to this kind of troubles, when they come with their factories, with their services, with all of their products, not to export, but to manufacture, all right?
Yes.
That means that they are trying to avoid. But the advantage that you have in this region, that from there on, you move to East Africa, to Southern Asia, and to the Gulf. So the trade map is changed, the navigation map is changed. So these are the future potentials that Egypt has, and we have to work very hard. And I think with the kind of reforms that maybe some people don't appreciate enough, because the country is being built, the human being is being invested in.
Yes.
So you cannot have a future without building a solid basis for the future.
Right.
So, lastly, I know that time is short. I think the approach, the meeting that took place in Cyprus,
Yes.
is very important.
Yes, in
Well,
Nicosia, Egypt's diplomatic model emphasizing sovereignty and coordination appeared actually gaining traction. Well, as you've said, Ambassador Saad, that Egypt is transforming geography, from your words, into leverage. And this is what we have been seeing and what has been admired also on behalf of the EU. It's been the crossroads for Africa, for the Middle East and Europe. Egypt emerging as a logistical, energy and industrial hub. And the link now with the EU in that file.
That's a very good point that you're making, particularly in terms of energy.
Yes.
Particularly in terms...
How energy has changed the equation, in your opinion?
Energy, well, you cannot look now at energy, for example, versus clean energy, or fossil oils versus clean. No. It's very much linked with supply chains.
Yes.
It links with stability. It's linked with the crises, with the problems that are increasingly taking place, and the challenge now that brings the EU and Egypt, in a common position, is how to establish a balance between the climate change with its implications,
Yes.
and the sustainable development process. And that's why now Egypt is making such an effort that people should know more about it. If you are targeting that by 2030 you will produce electricity and energy from clean energy.
Yes.
This is not an easy, because although you are a country where you have all the potential, like you have sun 24 hours in a day, so and you have winds, you have everything, but energy is becoming a source of stability or a crisis.
Right.
So that's why I think now the lessons learned, and here is something I dare to put. There are a lot of lessons learned from Gaza and Iran. One, as I said, Egypt is indispensable, whether for the West, whether for the Gulf, whether for Africa. It's not a matter that you brag about it, but it's a fact. It's a fact of history, a fact of geography, a fact of real governance of the leadership. So we are, together, what is needed now, we are trying to have a hub of both energy or fossil oils, all right? And this is what's happening, by the way. During the crisis,
yes.
Now a lot of experts, oil experts, are being transported through Egypt to Europe. Yes. From the Gulf countries.
Since we're talking the Strait of Hormuz and talking energy, Ambassador Saad, and with the pause that has happened for Project Freedom, do you see or do you anticipate any sort of a potential deal with Iran in that respect?
Let me tell you, I don't want to be over-optimistic. I think since the day I heard the statement by President Trump that America has no more targets to hit, I realized that they have come to the end of their attacks as a war. But maybe kind of in and out attacks. And since then, all what has happened to me is part of the negotiations. Part of the negotiation pressures, because both agendas failed. The Americans realized that they cannot claim real victory, although they claim that they are victorious. Iran has suffered losses that will take decades in order to recover, and they claim that they are victorious as well. But both, have reached the point where neither of their agendas worked. So, and it's time to go back to the negotiation table. In order to go back to the negotiation table, pressure started, including some hits here and there. All right. This is what has happened. To me, I think we are approaching very much a point where they will get back directly to negotiations. Let's take, what has happened today is very indicative that the White House has suspended the Freedom School.
Project Freedom.
Okay. And that means that they are just open the door in order to get back to negotiations.
Yes.
And
with a little maneuvering.
Well, but this is maneuvers, but the problem is a bit political and psychological, because each party wants to get back to its own constituency, claiming that there is a real victory, right? The President Trump is facing a real challenge internally. The Iranians, they can stand by their own regime for a while, because the losses are too much to afford.
Yeah.
So I hope I'm right in that I think within a very short period they will be back to negotiations. It may take long.
Yeah.
It may be interrupted, in between to have again some pressures here and there. But the fact is, if you look at it from a visionary point of view, you can see that they're approaching. The only problem that there is a spoiler, who is Netanyahu, right? Because any peace development is against his agenda.
Right.
And that's why, it's and that's why with the patience, we are performing, the kind of patience and wisdom. I think they will come internally to again to conviction that their obsolete dreams of changing the Middle East in a way to have a greater Israel, so on. I mean, they forget something very important, that the public opinion. The public opinion is silent but angry.
Yeah.
So we are approaching, hopefully, inshallah, that we are approaching a new period, but the lessons learned from there on, from the crisis of war, is some, may lead to a renaissance of the Arab spirit, the Arab unity. Because I think it was so obvious that if you continue away from using your own capabilities, you are just losing a heavy equipment, a heavy armament that can help a lot to protect you. You don't, not necessarily without being protected by other parties. So I think sooner than later, I think with the kind of respect, and I mean, we need a more analysis by the media regarding the moves by President Sisi.
Yes. How Egypt is moving as a stabilizing
stabilizing and choosing the timing. When, what, the quality of the timing. When, what, where.
Yes.
Right. This is something that we have to learn. I learned that's. I'm
reading as
I'm proud that we are in Egypt, although under crisis, but we are seeing things that maybe you haven't seen for so many years.
Right. Well, from the mother of the world and to Beijing, where we are anticipating an important summit that would take place between U.S. President Trump and China's Xi Jinping. maybe May 15th or 16th. How far will China as a player affect the geopolitical landscape, in your opinion? We're going to witness also a very important visit by French President Macron to Egypt. So
Well,
we have a very important diplomatic movement here.
very much so, very much so. Well, if you look at China and the United States, they have become the real adversaries, right? But both need each other, right? Here there is a tricky relationship. You know, we should remember, just remember that China has built its economic prosperity on the basis of free trade, while the United States, which is the pioneer of trade freedom, is adopting protectionism. So both are in real conflict, but they need each other because it's only them that can change this relationship. And we should not, I mean, President Trump need to get out of the crisis where he is with a better achievement, a real achievement on the ground. And China wants to stabilize because, you know, the less the world is stable, the more hurt is China, because for its trade, for its economic prosperity. So I don't expect big surprises, but you would, I mean, accept, I mean, this is something in negotiation. Once you accept to sit together with your adversary, that means that you are open the door and you are ready to meet halfway.
Right. Well, meeting halfway might happen, as Your Excellency have mentioned. Before wrapping up, like in a minute, let us think of future prospects of Egypt-EU relations as you see it, Ambassador Saad.
Again, you cannot just assume a future without taking into consideration the lessons learned. As I said, you know, Egypt is look at the solidity of economy because of the reforms that have been taking place and continuing. The political leadership that Egypt holds, and the popular support, not only in terms of demonstrations, but in terms of, you know,
decisions.
that you keep, you know, taking the pain of problems, right, without
supporting the decisions.
Supporting the decision and taking the pain.
And taking the
right?
pain, of course.
Of the losses, difficulties on our daily life. But if you see that a president, he is trying, you know, to take care of the marginalized people with the maximum possibilities, and people are obedient to the instructions, to the new, so on.
So hence they are aware.
They can see even. People, the Egyptians are very smart people, and
definitely.
they understand. But I mean, I want just I know. Is there any penalty if I'm late?
No, we're just wrapping up. Yeah.
I think that the relationship of Egypt, you know, is very much linked with the future of the EU, because we are the major partners. And people think that EU is on its way to be. Well, my perception is different. I think after the rift between the EU and the United States, right, I think we will have an exit strategy for the EU. The EU has very strong institutions, and I just remind you that during the COVID and after the Brexit, you know what they did. The new Commission made 3 important strategies: digital, Green Deal, Africa.
Yes.
So the exit strategy would be regional, intra-regional, and they have the largest network. Egypt will be in the center of this, and not only EU-Egypt, but I think EU-Egypt, Africa, Arab world, other parts of the world.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Ambassador Raouf Saad, Assistant to the Foreign Minister, for your wise reading of the headlines and your analysis, always adding value, Mr. Ambassador.
Thank you. I really appreciate being with you as a very experienced media lady, but
Thank you.
I'm always happy to be here.
Thank you, Ambassador Saad. And
Thank
I thank you, dear viewers, for joining us. That was Wednesday Debate Live, and I'm Tagherit Hussein. Many thanks for watching.